welcome Steve Waddell from Nasoni.
Thanks, Kevin. Good morning, everybody. Nasoni is a company that brings innovative products to market, and our first product is the bathroom faucet. How can you reinvent the bathroom faucet? We're going to explain in just a minute. We won recently the Get Started Hampton Roads event last month, both the judge's favorite and the audience favorite. So hopefully you'll find something you like in it as well. Again, my name is Steve Waddell. My background is 25 years building nuclear-powered aircraft carriers and submarines at Newport News Shipbuilding, and the last 9 years helping my wife's company, Reed Integration, go from a startup to number 997 on the Inc. 500, 5,000 last year. So I've got experience both large companies and small business. So speaking of my wife, I'm going to start with a story. And the story begins in 2003 when she came here from Alabama. I was in a rental house in Portsmouth along the river. And the older house built around 1960. It had a master bath that had a washer and dryer in it. And at some point before I got there, the washer developed a leak, so there was kind of a mildew smell in the bathroom. Being a guy, it didn't affect me, right? It doesn't bother guys. But it did bother her. So the next morning, after she got there, I went and made coffee, walked into the bathroom, set it beside the sink, got in the shower. She came in to brush her teeth, smelled the mildew smell, got the Lysol out, and sprayed it all in the air. Next thing you know, my coffee looked like an oil slick after a gentle rain. You see that rainbow effect on the roadway. So that's what it looked like when I got out of the shower. What does that have to do with what we're talking about today? It's all about the aerosol effect, and that was my exposure to how bad the aerosol effect can be. There's a professor in Arizona, Charles Gerba, first noted the aerosol effect in relation to your toilet in 1975. And what he found that when you flush the toilet, there are bioaerosols being ejected into the air in the form of viruses and germs. And they can go as far as 20 feet, and they land on all the surfaces in the bathroom. So I actually commissioned an artist in the Philippines to work with me to come up with a graphic to illustrate this. And what we see here is the man's finishing brushing his teeth, and he's got a cup in his hand. Typically those cups go in the bathroom and they stay for days. Nobody takes them and washes them in the dishwasher, right? So while they're there, they're collecting all those germs. And you use that to rinse after you brush. If you don't use a cup, and you, like me, use your hand. If you've touched the door handle you see on the right, or any other surface in the bathroom, you're still subject to the same problems. And not only the bioaerosols from the toilet, but any other things that are floating around the air like hairspray, or if you sprayed Lysol, any other cleaners or infectants, all that lands in the cups or on the surfaces. So the ideal way to rinse after brushing that we know of would be with a water faucet, because it's self-cleaning. Once you turn it on, it cleans itself, and you can rinse with it. However, we don't have those in the bathroom, right? So we said, why not combine a water faucet and a water fountain? And so basically what we've done, you're seeing our first and second generation designs where you turn the lever and we get a faucet effect, a fountain effect, excuse me. And with these two designs, these are both based on cast designs, which are typical for the bathroom faucets today. They're great for volume production, but not so good for prototyping. That's one of the lessons we learned. So we have redesigned it now to a pipe style design for our prototype. It's a lot cheaper to manufacture. We do that design work through what we call our Human Cloud Product Development Pipeline. If you're familiar with the Project Management Institute, there are 5 processes for managing a project: initiate, plan, execute. While you're doing all that, you monitor, control, and you close it out. Our projects include, we have an engineer in Thailand who's doing CAD modeling and fluid dynamics. In India, we have our patent attorney and web developer. Patent valuation report was done in New York. We have another web developer in Texas and in Scotland. In Virginia, we have our corporate attorney. We're doing banking, prototype manufacturing, and some Cox media support. Again, my graphic artist in the Philippines. And I have a storyteller in Washington and the UK. Pretty cool stuff. And we'll go into questions if you have any during the Q&A. I've got to keep moving through these. So I'm going to tell you about the origin of the term Nasoni for the company. It's in Italy, and these are actually Nasoni here. And I'm going to let her explain how it works.
You can either sit from here, or you can put your hand and it comes out.
These were first installed in Italy in 1874, and there are 2,500 of them. And they're all over the city. What I've done different with our technology is what we call our pressure-activated fountain technology. And basically what happens again is when you push the ball lever valve here, it stops the flow downward, and you can incrementally do that, and it creates a fountain effect to create the perfect water fountain landing in your sink. Now what we're aiming for is disruptive innovation. Somebody asked me, they said, Steve, why hasn't this been done before? And I said, Think about the curved shower curtain rod. How many years? All of us grew up with this kind of shower curtain rod, except for maybe the younger people in the back. This wasn't introduced until 2003, or 2004 rather, when it was patented. Now they're everywhere. So why wasn't it done in 1980, 1990? Nobody thought about it. And all they did was bend it. And yeah, they got a patent for that. Amazing, isn't it? So there are 5 basic faucet company business models in this market in America today. There are assemblers, manufacturers, marketeers, retail branders, and specifiers. And of those 5, 75 companies participate in one or more fashions of that. Big ticket players are in red. And they all, for us, represent either competitors if we go to manufacturer or licensee partners if we decide to go that route. Our opportunity for this market, based on our patent valuation report, is looking at just mid to high-end homes and hotels, is over 3 million faucets annually. If we capture just 1% of that market, that's 30,000 faucets a year. We believe we can do a lot better than that because of our competitive advantages, first to market and so on, but basically we're patented. Nobody else can do this. There's evidence that the need exists by all these aftermarket products you can buy at Amazon, Walmart, and so on. None of them work well. They all fall off. They have problems with them. Why not solve the basic problem with the faucet itself, that it doesn't do this to begin with? Risk is an inherent aspect of innovation. This is the waterfall chart for risk. I can go into details of it, but basically when you follow this approach, you have limited flexibility based on the risk of failure. If you're familiar with PMI, we flip that model around and look for the opportunity. And basically we call this the entrepreneur attention zone for mid to high opportunity and risk. So when we flip it around, we look at each step as adding value to the product. So with this approach, we want to have room for moving back and forth between mandatory and flexibility to bring the product to market. All right, so revenue projections are 34 million. Globally, there's 70 million. And in closing, we have global talent through our human cloud. $34 million U.S. opportunity is pretty big. It's conservative. 2 U.S. PTO patents. We're first to market. There's a global scale. And again, we have 0 debt. We're bootstrapped. So that's the presentation.
Nice, fantastic. Thanks. All right, thanks. Let's give Steve a hand. You guys know Periscope? Who knows Periscope? It's like Twitter broadcasting. Yay! Say hi to Periscope. You're like live on television right now. Okay, let's start with questions. Who's got questions for Steve? All right.
Well, I think your first one is how can the community help, right?
Well, that's our last question. You did your homework.
Okay.
So we'll go Bill and then Paul.
What's your unit cost?
We're not there yet because right now we're in prototype mode. So once we get done with that, we'll determine what the unit cost is going to be. And there will be numerous models. And again, it depends if we manufacture versus license. So there's 2 different paths we can go down.
Okay. Paul?
Yes.
That kind of rolled in my question. I wanted to hear more about where you guys are like right now.
Yeah, right now we actually have 3 different organizations. The one organization is called Gen Edge, and it's a state-funded initiative. The Small Business Administration in Richmond, Carl Knobloch is the director there, pointed me in the direction of Mark Levy with Gen Edge. Gen Edge funds the ODU Business Gateway and other organizations in the state for this type of stuff. They are actually looking to develop the prototype. They're going to give me a quote. I'm working with RPM Engineering in Virginia Beach. They went to Taiwan last week. They took my drawing details and information to their parent company in Taiwan, getting quotes from them as well. And finally, there's another organization in Massachusetts I'm working with. So I'm getting multiple different quotes to see which path we're going to go down for the prototype. Yes, sir.
Steve, you mentioned patents several times now.
Mm-hmm.
On the international scene, what are you thinking? Because obviously there's a significant price difference between a U.S. patent compared to like an international.
Absolutely, and there's a certain time frame with which you get the U.S. patent done that you have to apply in other countries. And we're certainly going to go down that path once we get the prototype done and we start moving down some of the U.S. doors about whether we're going to license it and what have you. Because we do believe there's a global market opportunity. And you know, we chose the name Nasoni on purpose because we think if anybody's been to Italy and they see this, they're going to say, oh, I remember those things in Italy. You know, it makes sense. I know what it is. I know what it does. That's really cool. Because I'll give you an example. There's a doctor in Ohio, Dr. Robert Cummanyard. He runs the America's Fitness Institute and Alpha Male Institute. And I showed this to him last year. And he said, I've been to Italy. I drank from those fountains. And I never thought about putting it in the house. You know, he said, it makes common sense. He goes, if you're going to manufacture this, I want in. I want to be an investor. Yes, sir.
On a day-to-day business, a regular business day, what is your biggest struggle? Is it cash flow? Is it bandwidth of people? And what are your biggest threat? What is your biggest struggle?
My day-to-day business is working for my wife's company. So this is my part-time thing until I get it to the point where it might take off. So my biggest struggle right now is finding a good manufacturer that can do this. And I'd like to, ideally, the manufacturer would be the one that not only builds a prototype, but then looks at the back end and says, okay, if you want to manufacture this, here's your unit cost if you build 5,000 units, 10,000 units, 30,000, whatever, out of this material or that material. And then I can go, say I want to go on Shark Tank, which that would be part of my plan at some point. I can then explain all that, and go from there. Yes, sir.
How are you financing the company's growth?
Right now, it's been strictly out of pocket. So it's all bootstrapped out of my pocket.
Well, I'm just.
And, well, I take that back. Part of it was looking for opportunity to win money. Like last month, when I won the Get Started 757 competition, I went there on a mission to win. And in doing so, I won the 5,000 cash and 5,000 services, and $250 was the audience winning for this American Express gift card. So that money is actually funding the prototype development. I'm also going to apply for the Kansas City opportunity because there's $10,000 if you win that, so why not take the chance, right?
Well, but to build a company, you need a lot more money than that. Are you able to finance the company's growth yourself, and with these little contests around the country, or are you going to record some real money?
It all depends. I'll say it depends. If I have to go the manufacturing route, then certainly you'll have to have money to produce those units. And I may look toward angel investment, what have you. Don't know yet. Haven't crossed that bridge yet. Right now, I want to get the prototype made. My focus was on getting that done and also doing what's called customer development. My patent valuation report is on looking at two primary buyers, mid to upscale homes and mid to upscale hotels. In hotels, if you recall, there was in 2009 time frame, there was an undercover hidden investigation, and they were going in these hotel rooms where the bathrooms, they had hidden cameras, news crews, and they caught the hotel cleaning crew not really cleaning the glasses in the bathroom. They would use their gloves to clean the toilet, turn around and clean the glasses with the same gloves. They use a dirty blue liquid that do not consume. They would rinse them out and just set them back. So the hotel industry response to that was, get rid of all the glasses and let's replace them with plastic cups wrapped in plastic. Now, each one of those cups takes 80 years to decompose. And based on the number of hotel rooms sold in 2012 and the weight of just one little cup, 16.5 million tons of trash, 16,000 tons rather of trash are going into our landfills annually. So this would eliminate the need for a hotel to buy the cups to begin with, and it would make them greener by getting rid of the plastic waste. So there's interest there, but I need to do the customer development to find out how much and so on. You were next, I'll come to you in just a minute.
The original Nasoni is a very simple design, has no moving parts. Why did you include a valve in your design?
If you notice, when the girl blocks it up with her hand, she can't control the height of it. It hits her in the face. So the problem there is I don't want the waters going beyond the sink and into the floor. So our design, first of all, number one, is based on standard U.S. household pressures. And the lever valve itself is incremental, so it allows you to adjust the height by adjusting how far you press the lever, but never will it go beyond the sink. The other thing is, our design of the fountain check valve includes a set nut with a spring so that if you're outside of that standard U.S. household pressure, it can be adjusted. Thank you, good question. You were next, I believe, and I'll come
So
back
in
to
terms
you.
of business development, and you said that you plan on marketing this to mid to, high level hotels, have you actually worked with IHG Open Worldwide to get the endorsement? Because, I have a hotel background, mostly 95% of the time when we buy, it has to be endorsed by Choice Hotels or endorsed by Wyndham. Have you worked with creating partnerships and liaisons with these?
We're not at that point yet. That's a very good point. There are things that we have to do in terms of when we go to build, we're going to have to go past certain tests to be able to be sold in the U.S. So there's all kind of testing and that licensing and so forth we have to do if we go the manufacturing route. When we get to that step, we will certainly do that, yes. Yes, sir. Yeah.
I've been drinking out of tap faucets all my life. I've never used a glass. In retrospect, it's probably a good idea. But the days are also a very good idea. Been in use in Europe for generations, and it's never caught on here. So why do you think this is going to catch on here?
Well, and also part of it depends on marketing.
Because you can drink out of the faucet. You don't need.
You absolutely can. Part of it depends on, I think in this case, this product is more of an educational marketing product. It doesn't necessarily sell itself. So I think with educational marketing, we'll be able to market it and sell it. And I don't mean to call it a pet rock, but if somebody can sell a pet rock, we can certainly sell this fountain.
How did they sell the bench?
The short curved shower curtain rod, I don't know, that could be a case study to look into, but I think one of the things I've noticed, like when I went to 31st Street Hilton was my first time I've used a double shower head. And when I used it in that scenario, I was like, man, I like that. I like to have that at home. So if we penetrate the hotel market and people use it at a hotel, certainly they may say, I'd like to have that at home. So there's lots of different ways we can market this product. Yes, sir.
I think the key to a lot of home fixtures is the aesthetic.
Absolutely.
How do you battle that, I guess, if you...
Actually, you don't battle it because and that's a great question. The point there is license deals, if you do go that route, allows all the manufacturers that you work with to put it on any of their designs. So the aesthetic is met through all the various models you can choose. And we have different finishes, satin, nickel, chrome, brass, antique, all that stuff would be done. But you're right, everybody has their own choice and preference. So licensing would be a better option from that perspective. Yes, sir.
Hey, Steve. So,
Hey, Tom.
you may not know the answer to the question, but I think it's important as you move forward that you find out. What's the additive cost between a standard faucet and sort of the addition of the Nasoni?
Oh, that's a great question. That's something we're going to be exploring as we go further into the prototyping, and we'll know what our manufacturing costs are. I don't have that answer until we get the prototype cost numbers. And then it becomes a function of volume as well. How much volume is it going to take to get our manufacturing costs down?
I think a lot of these questions go away though if you can answer that question. You say, look, that's 98 cents to the cost of the faucet with Nasoni or one without Nasoni, and people, you pay for
Right,
it.
and remember now, we're not targeting the low end of the market either. And the other side to that is we don't see this being used, say, in rental homes, and we didn't count that in our patent valuation. But there are other things we also didn't count, like Navy ships. It could possibly be a value on a Navy ship, or my wife's sister and her husband were in town. They have a camper, an RV, and they said, we don't have any space in that RV. It would be great to have it in an RV. So there's a lot of different ideas that it could be used for that I haven't even considered yet. Yes, sir.
You mentioned Shark Tank, and I was wondering why you would go with Shark Tank as opposed to, say, like a Kickstarter, because then you can get a better feedback from, or you get better feedback plus the potential of training the customer base on what it is and what it can be used for.
Kickstarter is a great method for customer development because you do get feedback. If people are willing to put money into it, then it shows there's a market there. So I've already developed a Kickstarter page. What I lack is a production video that shows the unit being built because I don't have the prototype yet. So part of my plan is as we build the prototype, it will be the video, the development effort of that, and create the production video for Kickstarter. Kickstarter is definitely on our radar, and it's something we are prepared to implement if the time is right. As far as Shark Tank goes, you asked me why I love the show. I'm a big fan. I just think it'd be cool. It'd be like a life goal to get on there and have fun with the sharks. Why? Yes, sir.
One more question. Have you thought about licensing the technology in addition to manufacturing it yourself?
Absolutely.
I'm sorry.
Can you pull that back up?
I sure can, yeah. I hope.
We still have time left on that.
Yeah, we do.
But yes, that licensing is what I've been talking about. 75 companies play in this market in the U.S. and they represent, as I mentioned, either competitors if we manufacture or license opportunities. So
I would think that you would be able to negotiate a relatively narrow license with individual plumbing manufacturers.
absolutely, there's that. There's lots of different ways to go to market with it. Let me click through this a minute. And what I'm getting to is you're going to see my risk waterfall and my opportunity chart. Okay, so if you notice here, as we're coming down, we get our CAD models done, patent application, patent valuation report, prototype development, we get the license, and I put parentheses Shark Tank. There's a door there. That represents an opportunity to exit. I don't have to go down the rest of the steps if we get a good deal and want to go that route. So that's what that was meaning.
Well, and you could also do both.
Yes, you could. And flipping it around, again, the door is there to go in the other direction. These are the same steps either way. But I'm, again, looking at it from an opportunity perspective. Yes, sir.
Along those lines,
And keep this up. I have one more.
yeah, this commercial versus private market, the people who would be at a higher end at a home market are hygienically aware, probably have filtered water faucets currently, but, and that may limit the application is this?
Actually, it doesn't, because what we have in mind is a filtered option at a point. So we have a lot of things that we're looking at as optional additions to the product.
Yeah, I
So
see
you're right on target with that.
I see it very strongly in the commercial area where there's no expectation of filtration, as in a hotel
Mhm.
or a public place.
Right, agreed. Somebody else had a question over here? Yes, ma'am.
Have you considered marketing to hospitals in the patient's rooms when
You
they're
know-
concerned about germs?
It's very interesting you bring that up, because I also read a recent report from the aerosol effect that talked about how in the hospitals, they do not have toilet lids on their toilets. So the problem of aerosol effect is exacerbated because those are high volume flush. And they really, when you flush it, you can hear it, I mean, because they're designed so they don't get stopped up. And in that effect, they create a greater aerosol effect. And norovirus and other things like that get spread larger because of that. So yeah, hospitals are a possibility. Yes, sir.
Ask about your patents. Do you have design and utility patents?
The design patent is approved, the utility patent is pending. So yes, both of them are in the works.
What's to prevent somebody like Kohler taking your idea and making a little tiny twist to it?
The way you write the patent, and what we've done is written in such a way that it would invalidate that. And again, if we go the license route, licensed partners would be the ones to help fight any patent infringement.
Steve, how can you fail?
How could you fail?
I mean, it's a question you really have to consider. This seems like you can only fail, you can't fail, right? But you gotta consider what would keep you.
Absolutely. My background is in risk management as well. My phone number, actually, my cell phone is 358-RISK, because my phone number inside the shipyard when I was a risk manager for the carrier program was 8-RISK. So you're right, one of the risks that I face, and part of that is customer development. If the hotel industry does not buy off on this, a big part of my patent valuation is invalid. So I'd have to again rethink the market. So that's one way, and we're going to be looking and exploring that in detail. I've got a friend that actually owns a hotel in Richmond, and so I'll be meeting with him and talking to him about getting more of the inside scoop and story on how hotels
I'll go
operate.
back of the room right there, Steve, and talk to you about that stuff too.
Okay, excellent. Other questions?
Well, we'll end with our question for you, which is what can we do to help?
I have the perfect slide for you. When you brush your teeth tonight, I'm going to guarantee you're going to think about Nasoni, and you're going to think about, wow, I kind of wish I had that water fountain effect. So when you do, just please like one of our social media pages.
All right, perfect. Thanks very much, Steve.